问一，加尔文一开始未提到外邦人的奇异迷惑。Question 1. Why does Calvin begin by mentioning the strange delusions of the Gentiles? Answer. 他要先界定背景。He first intends to set the context. 神已经把以色列人从外邦宗教的迷离出来。God has already set the Israelites apart from the delusions of Gentile religion. 但危险并没有因此消失。Yet the danger has not thereby disappeared. 真正更危险的不是外面的偶像。What is truly more dangerous is not the idols outside, 而是从自己中间出现的假教师 but the false teachers who arise from among their own people. 这说明神的百姓最大的试探。This shows that the greatest temptation for the people of God, 往往不是公开的敌对 is often not open hostility, 而是看起来像自己人的声音 but voices that appear to come from within. 问二，为什么假教师特别危险？ Why are false teachers especially dangerous? Answer. 因为他们不是否认神 because they do not deny God, 而是假借神的名说话 but speak falsely in God's name, 先知、异梦、神迹 They make use of terms such as prophet, dreams, and signs. 这些原本属于神启示的语言 which properly belong to God's revelation, 来取得信任，使人更难分辨 in order to gain trust and make discernment more difficult. 加尔文指出 Calvin points out that 这种欺骗比外邦迷信更致命 This kind of deception is more deadly than Gentile superstition, 因为它直接攻击信仰的核心 because it strikes directly at the core of faith. 问三，加尔文为什么强调神迹不能与教义分离？ Question 3. Why does Calvin emphasize that miracles cannot be separated from doctrine? Die. Answer. 因为神迹本身不是判准 because miracles in themselves are not a standard of truth. 加尔文反复指出 Calvin repeatedly points out 神迹只是辅助真理 Miracles serve only as aids to the truth, 不是判定真理的标准 not as the criterion by which truth is determined. 一旦神迹被拿来推翻神已经清楚启示的教义 Once miracles are used to overturn doctrines that God has clearly revealed, 那它就不再是从神来的 They are no longer from God, 而是被滥用来破坏敬虔 but are abused to undermine true godliness. 问四，如果假先知的预言的应验怎么办？ Question 4. What if the prediction of a false prophet actually comes to pass? Answer. 这正是加尔文要处理的核心难题 This is precisely the central difficulty Calvin seeks to address. 他指出 He explains 神保留预言未来的荣耀 God retains the glory of foretelling the future, 但并不表示神不会允许某些事实的应验临到假先知身上 But this does not mean that God will never allow certain fulfillments to occur through false prophets. 这不是认可他们 This is not an endorsement of them, 而是神对悖逆者的审判方式 but a form of God's judgment upon the rebellious. 巴亚法的例子要说明什么？ Question 5. What are the examples of Balaam and Caiaphas meant to demonstrate? Answer. 说明一件关键的事实 They demonstrate a crucial fact. 一个人可以在某一次说出真话 A person may speak the truth on a particular occasion, 却仍然是整体上的骗子 and yet still be a deceiver in the overall sense. 巴兰、盖亚法曾说出真实的预言 Both Balaam and Caiaphas uttered genuine prophecies, 但他们的心并不敬畏神 Yet their hearts did not fear God. 因此，一次的正确 therefore, being right once 不能成为整体可信的证据 cannot serve as evidence of overall trustworthiness. 问六，为什么神要容许这样的事发生？ Question 6. Why does God allow such things to happen? Answer. 加尔文引用保罗指出 Calvin, citing 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, explains 这是神对拒绝真理之人的审判 This is God's judgment upon those who reject the truth. 当人不爱真理 When people do not love the truth, 神就任凭他们被迷惑 God gives them over to deception, 甚至让撒旦的能力成为审判的工具 even allowing Satan's power to become an instrument of judgment, 使他们走向灭亡 leading them toward destruction. 问七，那神迹还有没有意义？ Question 7. Do miracles still have any significance then? Answer. 有 但前提非常清楚 Yes, but the condition is very clear. 神迹必须被神的话解释 Miracles must be interpreted by the word of God, 而不反过来 and not the other way around. 若没有神话语的光照 without the illumination of God's word, 人连神日常的作为都看不清 People cannot even perceive God's ordinary works clearly, 更不用说神迹 let alone miracles. 真正从神来的神迹 miracles that truly come from God, 最终以显明神的荣耀 will in the end reveal God's glory, 而不会永远被假象掩盖 and will not remain forever concealed by false appearances. 问8. 为什么摩西特别说你所不认识的神 Question 8. Why does Moses specifically say, Gods whom you have not known? Answer. 这句话不是资讯性的 This phrase is not informational, 而是责备性的 but accusatory. 加尔文指出 Calvin explains, 以色列人已经清楚认识神 The Israelites already knew God clearly, 已经被神确实印证 and had been firmly confirmed by God. 若还因启示而转向别神 If they were still to turn to other gods because of wonders, 那就完全没有借口 They would be utterly without excuse. 这里的认识 The knowing referred to here 不是表面知道 is not a superficial awareness, 而是应该深知心中 but a conviction that should be deeply rooted in the heart, 稳定不动的确信 and remain firm and unshaken. 问9. 这整段注释的核心结论是什么 Question 9. What is the central conclusion of this entire commentary? 加尔文的结论非常清楚 Calvin's conclusion is very clear. 真敬虔不是被神迹牵着走 True piety is not led by miracles, 而是在任何情况下 but consists in never departing, 都不偏离神已启示的真理 under any circumstances from the truth God has revealed. 即使出现看似超自然不可思议的事 even when things appear supernatural and astonishing, 也不能动摇对独一真神的敬拜与顺服 They must not shake worship and obedience to the one true God. 问10. 这段注释要塑造一种信徒什么样的心态 Question 10. What kind of mindset does this commentary seek to form in believers? Answer. 不是好奇，不是追逐经验 not curiosity, not the pursuit of experiences, 而是 but rather 稳固警醒不被启示牵动的信心 A faith that is firm, vigilant, and not swayed by wonders. 加尔文要的 what Calvin seeks 是一种已经扎根的认识 is a knowledge that is already rooted, 能抵挡魔鬼一切花样的敬虔 a godliness capable of resisting every device of the devil.